This is the story of why Mary Austin finally chose to break her decades of silence about the rumors of Freddie Mercury having a secret daughter and the specific events that forced her to set the record straight. Mary issued a rare public statement from her home at Garden Lodge on February 15, 2026, aiming to address the persistent stories that have clouded the private history of Freddie Mercury for many years. A series of paternity claims gained heavy international traction throughout 2025, and this growing narrative threatened to overshadow the documented facts of Freddie's life until Mary decided she had to step in. Since she serves as the primary guardian for Freddie's private journals and his Kensington estate, Mary has always felt a heavy responsibility to protect his true story from the reach of sensationalism. Mary Austin remained a figure of quiet reclusion for over 3 decades, while rarely engaging with the media or responding to the countless theories proposed by biographers and fans. Now that she is approaching her 75th year, these recent words mark a major shift toward active legacy management and a desire to anchor the history of the Queen frontman in verifiable evidence. She made it clear that while she spent her life protecting his personal privacy, she was never the guardian of a secret child, as some theorists have suggested over the years. This clarification was a necessity for Mary because she believes that the actual intentions and documented history of Freddie Mercury should be the only foundation for his enduring legacy. Most of the rumors Mary addressed centered on a woman known to the public as Bibi, who claimed for several years that she had a biological connection to the legendary singer. The mystery reached a tragic and final conclusion when Bibi passed away at the age of 48 on January 15, 2026. A difficult battle with chordoma, which is a rare and aggressive form of spinal cancer, eventually took her life just 1 month before Mary Austin issued her public statement. When the woman at the center of these claims passed away, it brought a somber end to a story that had captivated a segment of the fan base for a long time. Biographers like Leslie Ann Jones helped popularize the paternity claims involving Bibi, and these writings created a wave of speculation that felt increasingly real to many observers in the Queen community. These theories suggested that Freddie fathered a child during a period of his life that remained largely hidden from his closest friends and the other members of Queen. When Mary Austin released her official statement in February of 2026, she addressed these claims directly and pointed out that they lacked any DNA evidence or verifiable factual basis. Mary insisted that the private papers and journals in her possession offer no support for the idea of a secret family, and she suggested the stories were born of speculation rather than reality. By addressing the rumors now, Mary is attempting to provide a sense of closure to a chapter that has caused considerable distress for many people close to the Mercury estate. The resolution of the Bibi rumors arrives just as Mary prepares to release a massive collection of archival materials that will define the personal timeline of Freddie Mercury with great precision. She wants to move past the unverified myths that often surround celebrities of this stature and focus instead on the tangible records left behind at Garden Lodge. Her role as the protector of his secrets has transitioned into a role as the curator of his facts, and she wants his life story told with dignity and accuracy. While silence within Garden Lodge has been a hallmark of her guardianship since 1991, the events of early 2026 made it clear that some mysteries required a definitive answer. Mary explained that her decision to speak was based on a commitment to the actual history of Freddie and a need to prevent the further spread of misinformation. The tragic conclusion of the life of Bibi was a reminder of the human element involved in these public rumors, and Mary's clarification served to close the narrative respectfully. As she continues to manage the large collection of personal items within his former home, Mary remains focused on preserving the man as he truly was, instead of the fictionalized versions seen in unauthorized biographies. Many observers see this new approach by Mary Austin as a way to clean up the historical record before the world marks what would have been Freddie Mercury's 80th birthday. By taking apart the theory of a secret daughter now, she is making sure the upcoming archival releases can be seen without the distraction of paternity claims. The February 2026 statement offered a rare look into the mind of the woman Freddie trusted most, and it reminded the public that she is the final authority on his private life. Through her words, the mystery surrounding Bibi has been put to rest, which allows the focus to return to the artistic journey that turned Freddie into a global icon. Garden Lodge sits at the center of this emotional transition, as the home remains on the market for £30 million. As of mid-February 2026, the Kensington house where Freddie spent his final years has not yet found a buyer, even though it is one of the most famous homes in music history. Nearly 2 years have passed since the listing first appeared on the market. This delay is mostly because Mary Austin insists on an incredibly strict vetting process for anyone who wants to buy it. Prospective buyers have to show proof of enough money and pass a background check before they are allowed a private viewing, as Mary wants to ensure only serious people step inside those gates. Adopting such a cautious strategy shows her desire to treat the home with dignity, instead of letting it become a destination for people who just want to look behind the brick walls. While the sale of the house is a major financial decision, it is also also highlighted the deep distress felt by Freddie's sister, Kashmira Bulsara. Reports suggest that Kashmira has felt a heavy sense of sadness about the choice to sell the home and the way his personal belongings have been scattered. A clear tension exists between the estate's need to move forward and the family's wish to preserve his memory during recent high-profile auctions. Kashmira has reportedly spent about £3 million of her own money to buy back her brother's personal items, so these intimate pieces of his history stay with the Bulsara family. Reclaiming his legacy in this way shows how much his relatives value the objects from his daily life, even while the official estate seeks professional closure. Mary Austin now spends much of her life trying to balance the heavy financial needs of a massive estate with the emotional needs of Freddie's surviving family members. She often finds herself making decisions that are legally necessary but very difficult for the people who knew Freddie during his earliest years. Selling Garden Lodge is not just a real estate deal, as it means finally letting go of the sanctuary that Freddie worked so hard to build. For Kashmira, watching that sanctuary get taken apart is a painful reminder of how much time has passed, while for Mary, it is the way she fulfills her final duties as executor. Such a difference in perspective continues to define the story of the Mercury estate as it moves into this final chapter. Alongside the changes at Garden Lodge, Mary is putting her energy into a major literary project called A Life in Lyrics, which is set to come out on September 1st, 2026. That specific date was chosen to line up with what would have been Freddie's 80th birthday, making the book a centerpiece of the worldwide celebrations happening that year. HarperCollins is publishing the project, and it marks the most extensive time Mary has opened the private archives to the public. She explained that she started the emotional work of going through Freddie's private papers back in 2023 with the goal of anchoring his history in documented facts. By showing his original handwriting and his actual thoughts, Mary hopes to finally stop the unverified rumors that have been told about him for decades. Historians and fans alike will find a wealth of information in these pages, as the text includes previously unseen material that reveals exactly how his mind worked. Some of the most exciting additions are the alternate drafts for Bohemian Rhapsody and Don't Stop Me Now, showing the messy evolution of these global anthems. Looking at his original yellow legal pads covered in scratched-out words and revisions provides a sense of closeness that a typical biography simply cannot match. These pages tell the story of a man who obsessed over every detail, sometimes working on one specific line for hours until it perfectly fit his vision for the melody. Beyond the rare lyrics, Mary Austin is sharing personal photographs and anecdotes that have never been seen or heard by the public until now. These stories provide a grounded view of the man behind the costume, focusing on the quiet moments where he actually created his art. Mary wants to make sure that future generations see him as a serious artist rather than just a flamboyant rock star. By working with HarperCollins to release these records, she is building a permanent history that counters the many rumors and guesses that have followed him since his death. The project gives the final word back to Freddie, using his own handwriting to explain a life that only a few people ever really understood. The business side of the Queen legacy hit a massive peak in February of 2026, when news broke that Sony had purchased the entire music catalog for £1 billion. That transaction stands as one of the biggest acquisitions the recording industry has ever seen, changing the financial landscape for everyone involved. Since Mary Austin holds a 75% stake in Freddie's share of the band's royalties, she is set to receive about £187 million from this deal alone. Such a payout will likely place her among the top 100 wealthiest women in Britain, which is a clear sign of how much influence Freddie's work still carries 50 years later. When Mary first met Freddie in 1969, she was working as a shop assistant at Bibi, making her current position as one of the richest women in the country a truly life-changing shift. The £1 billion price tag Sony paid for the catalog shows that hits like Under Pressure and We Will Rock, you are worth just as much today as they were when they were first recorded. Much of that valuation is based on how well the music reaches new generations of fans, suggesting that these songs will continue to generate massive revenue for many decades. The deal only covers the studio recordings and songwriting rights, while the income from live performances remains with the surviving band members and the estate. This allows the legacy to continue to grow through other ventures even after such a massive sale. Having such a massive sum of money gives Mary Austin the independence she needs to manage Freddie's history without having to worry about outside influences or financial pressure. She can now cover the high costs of maintaining Garden Lodge and the private archive without any stress, allowing her to focus entirely on honoring Freddie's final wishes. Her main goal has always been to protect his privacy and the accuracy of his work, and these new resources mean she never has to compromise on the quality of her project. Such financial security means the work of preserving his lyrics and personal items can continue for years to come, keeping the collection safe for future generations of historians. While the estate's finances settled into a new reality, fans across the globe took a moment on February 18, 2026, to observe a much more somber anniversary marker. This date marked 36 years since Freddie Mercury stood on a public stage during the 1990 Brit Awards. Many followers gathered at the historic Dominion Dominion Theatre to recall the evening, a visibly gaunt and fragile Freddie joined his bandmates to accept their award for outstanding contribution to British music. That brief and humble appearance represented the final time the general public would ever see him in person, and the date stands as a moving reminder of the quiet courage he showed during those difficult final years. Legacy and mortality themes returned to the global fan community. Here is the thing, emotion ran high at the Dominion Theatre as people remembered seeing Freddie on that stage for the last time, wearing a light blue suit that seemed far too large for his diminished frame. At that moment in history, the public remained largely unaware of how severe his illness had become, which meant his dignified presence sparked immediate speculation across the British press. Brian May handled the majority of the acceptance speech while Freddie stood slightly behind him, offering nothing but a polite smile to the roaring crowd. Freddie eventually leaned into the microphone to offer a simple thank you and a wish for the audience to have a good night, and those 4 words have echoed for decades. In a move that honors the start of that legendary journey instead of its end, the announcement of the Queen II Collector's Edition sparked massive excitement throughout the music world. Just as Mary shared her recent revelations, the surviving band members scheduled this special edition of their influential 1974 album for release on March 27, 2026. Critics often identify this record as the true birth of their signature sound. A fresh stereo mix created for this 2026 release includes previously unheard studio banter between Freddie and the other members, which provides a rare and unscripted look at their internal dynamics during those ambitious early sessions. Hearing Freddie's voice as he jokes with his bandmates or directs a recording session offers a humanizing contrast to the polished power of the finished tracks. The result was a deeper connection to the band's history, as Brian May recently noted that these tapes capture a sense of total fearlessness the band possessed during the Queen II sessions. The tapes capture total fearlessness. When Brian May describes the album as the single biggest leap they ever made, he is highlighting the incredible transition from their self-titled debut to the complex arrangements of their later masterpieces. The 2026 reissue functions as a bridge between generations, much like Mary Austin's upcoming book, as both projects work to provide a more accurate map of the band's true history. Mary Austin has frequently been called the woman who understood Freddie Mercury better than anyone else, and her 2026 statement acted as a final confirmation of that unbreakable bond. She clarified that her choices regarding the sale of Garden Lodge and her firm rejection of paternity rumors were not made on a whim or for financial gain. Instead, she pointed directly toward Freddie's own documented wishes and the private conversations they shared in the weeks leading up to November 1991. Acting as the guardian of his legacy has required her to stand as a consistent barrier between his private life and a world that often craves sensational stories or unverified claims. By speaking out now, she fulfills a duty to the truth. Austin explained that Freddie valued his personal dignity above all else, and her actions in 2026 aim to protect that dignity for future generations of fans. Deciding the future of the Kensington property was one of the most emotional challenges Mary ever faced, but she believes Garden Lodge is ready for a new chapter. Fans might see those brick walls as a monument to rock history, but Mary viewed the estate as a sanctuary. She noted that Freddie never wanted his home to turn into a dusty museum and preferred that the house continue to have its own active life. Mary is finding a buyer who will respect the home after she leaves. She thinks his legacy belongs to his music rather than gossip. Montreux will host the annual celebration of Freddie Mercury's birthday in the late summer of 2026. The event is a central part of the Mercury Phoenix Trust, which was established by Brian May, Roger Taylor, and Jim Beach after Freddie passed away. The gathering marks 80 years since his birth. Charity work continues through the fight against HIV and AIDS, a cause Mary has quietly supported for more than 30 years. This meeting in Switzerland shows the lasting love fans feel for the man who changed culture forever. His famous statue overlooking Lake Geneva will be covered in flowers and letters that act as a physical reminder of his presence and the work remaining. Mary is ensuring these painful rumors are finally laid to rest with proper respect. Since the woman involved passed away in January of 2026, Mary was able to speak with a compassionate finality that was not possible while she was alive. While acknowledging the woman's battle with cancer, Mary insisted that the historical record must stay rooted in facts instead of speculation. Speaking on the matter directly helped her remove the doubt that some biographers placed on his personal life while he was in the spotlight. Focusing on his creative journey, the book A Life in Lyrics can now avoid distractions when it is released later in the year. The real secret to his life was never a hidden child, but rather the depth of his art and his ability to reach millions. His greatest mysteries were always hidden in plain sight within the lyrics of his music. From his ambitious early work to the moving reflections in his final recordings at Mountain Studios, he left a trail of honesty that serves as his biography. Her move toward transparency invites fans to examine the evidence through his own documents. She believes the flamboyant man on stage was an intentional construction, while the person she knew at home found joy in the quiet process of creation. Dismantling Unraveling these myths reveals the heart of an artist dedicated to his craft. Mary Austin currently prepares for the release of her landmark book and the transfer of Garden Lodge to its next owner. She feels a deep sense of peace for fulfilling her role as a loyal confidant to the very best of her ability. The choices she navigated in early 2026 went far beyond managing a financial estate or selling property. Her primary focus centered on shielding the memory of a friend who meant everything to her. Protecting that spirit required her to anchor his legacy in verified facts, ensuring his personal history remains as genuine as the famous songs he left behind. Within the music and that unmistakable voice lived a performer who gave his entire being to his audience until the end. Because of her dedication to the truth, his reputation will stay respected as the decades pass. Extraordinary lives like his require no hidden chapters or fabricated mysteries to stay legendary. The path he actually walked and the art he created are more than enough to keep his flame burning. Honesty remains the most meaningful gift she could provide for his memory. This final clarification guarantees that the man the world venerates is the same person who truly existed.